All right, let's dive in. We're about to go on a journey together, one that starts with just a little spark of an idea and ends with a real app, right there on your screen. It's a path a lot of people dream about, but most have no idea how to actually walk it. So let's pull back the curtain and see how the magic really happens.
It kind of feels like magic, doesn't it? You tap one little icon and this whole world just opens up. But behind that super simple screen, there is a really structured, really fascinating process. So how does it actually work? How do you go from a random thought in the shower to a fully functioning app in the App Store?
Okay, to make sense of all this, we need a map. Think of this as our simple roadmap for the journey. And what's wild is that every single app, I don't care if it's a silly game or a super complex work tool, it follows these 5 core steps in some way, shape, or form. This is our game plan.
First up, the spark, the idea itself. Now, this is, without a doubt, the most important step. And ironically, it's the one people rush through the most. Because listen, before you write a single line of code, before you even sketch out a screen, you have to ask one simple but incredibly powerful question: why?
Now look at these questions. What's so interesting is that none of this is about technology. It's all strategy. You have to absolutely nail these things first. Are you solving a real pain point for someone? Who exactly is that person? And that last one, validate, is so crucial. A quick survey, a simple web page, that can literally save you months or even years of building something that nobody actually wants.
So, once you've got a solid why, it's time to draft the blueprint. This is the part where that cool, fuzzy idea in your head starts to become a concrete plan, a real set of instructions that a team can actually follow and build.
And almost immediately, you hit this massive fork in the road. And it's a huge strategic decision. It's going to impact your budget, your timeline, and how the app actually feels when someone uses it. The question is, technically speaking, how are you going to build this thing?
You know, it really all boils down to a trade-off. Native means you're building 2 separate custom apps, one for Apple's iPhones and one for Google's Android. This gives you the best of the best performance, the smoothest user experience, but yeah, it's more expensive and it takes longer. On the other hand, cross-platform is kind of like using one set of code to build for both at the same time. It's way faster and cheaper, but you might have to sacrifice a little bit of that top-tier polished feel.
So by the time you're done with this whole planning phase, you've got actual documents you can hold. You'll have a PRD, which is basically the Bible for your app. It spells out everything. You'll have user stories, which are great because they frame everything from the user's point of view. And you'll have a prioritized feature list that defines your MVP, your minimum viable product. This whole package gives your developers a crystal clear roadmap.
All right, the plan is locked in. Now we get to the really fun part, the build. This is where the blueprints and documents start to turn into a real, functional machine brought to life one line of code at a time.
Now, modern teams don't just disappear into a cave for 6 months and pop out with a finished app. That's not how it works anymore. They work in what are called agile sprints. The best way to think of it is this: you're not building a whole house at once. You're just focusing on making one room, like the kitchen, absolutely perfect. For 1 or 2 weeks, the team focuses intensely on just a few features, and they get them completely done before moving on.
And this gives you a great picture of the day-to-day rhythm. A developer builds a feature, they test it on their own computer, then they have a teammate look over their code to make sure it's high quality, and only then does it get added into the main project. It's a really smart, methodical system that lets you build fast without, breaking everything.
Okay, the app is pretty much built. The features are in. We're done, right? Nope, not even close. The journey is far from over. Now comes the final gauntlet, that last big hurdle before your creation gets to meet the world. It's time for some serious testing, and then the launch itself.
Quality assurance, or QA, is absolutely non-negotiable. The goal here is basically to try and break everything. Does every button do what it's supposed to do? Does it look right on a tiny phone screen and a giant tablet? Is it slow? Does it crash? And maybe most important of all, you get it into the hands of real users for a beta test, because trust me, they will find problems you would never, ever think of.
So once you've squashed all the bugs and you're feeling confident, you have to face the final boss, the App Store review process. You get your screenshots ready, write your description, and you hit that submit button. And just a little heads up, Apple's review process is notoriously strict. You really have to follow their guidelines to a T.
And then you get the email.
Approved. The app is live. It is in the store, available for anyone, anywhere in the world to download. This is such a huge milestone. It's a moment for a massive celebration for any team that makes it this far. But here's the twist. Launching your app isn't crossing the finish line. In a lot of ways, it's actually the starting line of a whole new race. The journey doesn't end here. It just morphs into this new, ongoing phase.
This quote just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures that shift. Up until now, you've been building a product based on your best guesses. But now the real work begins, because you're managing a live service based on real-world data and actual user feedback.
And this is the new reality. Successful apps are never really done. They live in this constant feedback loop. You're watching your analytics, you're collecting feedback from users, and you're using all that information to decide what to build or fix next. That's how apps stay relevant and keep growing.
Okay, so we've walked through the entire path, but how do modern teams do this faster and smarter? Well, there's a core strategy that can totally accelerate this whole journey, so let's break down how that works. So here it is, the key takeaway. Don't try and build some massive feature-packed app right out of the gate. Instead, build a thin MVP, an app that does just 2 to 4 core things and does them really, really well. Use all the modern tools you can, like AI-assisted coding, to build it faster. The whole goal is to get it into the hands of real people as quickly as humanly possible, so you can stop guessing and start learning from what people actually do.
And that brings us right back to our map. But now we can see the full picture. It's not a straight line, it's a loop. Idea, design, build, test, launch, and then the most important part of all, learn and repeat. That cycle, right there, is the engine that powers every single great app.
So now you have the blueprint. You understand the entire journey, from that first little spark all the way to a living, breathing product. The path is clear. The only question left is the one that starts this whole thing all over again. What problem will you solve?